So what do you think of the response to the event today?
It was great. It was really good to see a lot of people shop, especially a lot of young people. So it was very heartening to see.
And what do you hope that some of the end result is, or the next step could be from something like this?
Well, I think it's important to start to dialogue about the South Side. It's kind of a forgotten part of the city, except when there's a crime or a fire or something. And I think people kind of need to get reintroduced to the area, and having people come to an event like this, especially at a place like the Oak Hill Collaborative, which is doing a lot of good work on the Lower South Side. I think it's important, and I think it could lead to some other things.
Now, there's a lot of talented people in Youngstown, but in previous years, a lot of young people had to leave the city or leave the area entirely. Do you see that changing to a degree, and do you think that the attitudes of people are starting to change a little bit?
Yeah, I think so. I think it has changed to a degree, especially when you see people coming back down, people wanting to live downtown, which is a good sign. That's kind of happening nationally. It's good to see it happening here. I think it'd be nice to see young people get expanded their interests and horizons outside of just the downtown, but you do have to start somewhere.
Now, you can't speak for all young people, but what do you think some of the things that young people want are?
I think young people, they want jobs, they want some kind of security, and I think young people, especially millennials, are moving back to urban environments. They want walkable communities, they want interesting businesses and cool things to do, and I think that Youngstown, if it doesn't have all those things to offer now, it does have some of those. So there's no real reason, I think, why it can't expand and fulfill some of the needs that a lot of millennials have.
I think it's definitely a beginning of something. So I came because, first of all, this is my neighborhood and I should be participating in something so valuable, so important, and to support Pat and what he's done. I think this is a great facility. I think this is a great way of saying the South Side, we're really doing some things. And then more importantly, I'm their farmer, so I should always be here so that I can network with the people and find out what's the happenings and what's going on. I think it's nice to kind of grasp what was so we can figure out how to move forward. I think Sean and Alex is our very own, so why not sit and listen? Why not hear their opinions, because they matter? And then the networking system that's going to happen while we're here. Just get to know each other and feel out how we can better evolve, how we can revive the South Side. So it's a win-win to just be here, even if I was here just to support another organization.
I was really, really pleased with the number of people that came. You never know, this neighborhood, people say aren't going to show up. They really did, people did show up, and we were pretty happy about that. We had a thing with the Youngstown Neighborhood Development Corporation about 2 weeks ago, and we had 75 people from the neighborhood, which was fantastic. The same principle. People came because they're interested in what we're doing, and they're interested in preserving their neighborhood, and they want to be heard. So this is, I think, an extension of that. So we hope to continue with other things like this in the future.
And what are some of the things you hope to do in the future as far as building on the success of something like this?
Well, we are at core a neighborhood revitalization center, and a large part of that is with the business incubator. And we've been blessed that certain people have come and they work with each other and they collaborate. And I think that a large measure of our success will be how we can get other businesses up and running. But a real core element of that is how we're going to revitalize the neighborhood. We like the jobs component, the business incubator, because if you don't have hope or economic opportunity, it's not going to be much of a revitalization. But we still also want to do cultural things, history things. We're going to do walking tours of the South Side.
You're part of the Oak Hill Collaborative Business Incubator. Incubator. Tell us what you have here and what you're doing.
I am launching a designer line of women's clothing, and the name of the line is Jesus Speak. And each article has a label somewhere inside with a line of scripture, something that Jesus said. This coat is one of the armor coats, and the brown leather on this coat was actually from the Avani plant. They used to make a car here in Youngstown called the Avani, and the brown leather was supposed to be a car seat.
I'm learning the basics of like how to sew and measure like clothing, the whole like stitching. Like on this model right here, you have like your seam lines, and then your princess lines, and then your back seam lines. And I also learned how to measure. I'm still working on it. I haven't got pretty, good at it, but we're working on it.
I also have pieces that are more designer or couture pieces. These pieces are really over the top, and they have a lot of hand done details and things. Like this dress is hand beaded, applique chiffon, which is a really difficult thing to do. But a lot of the designer pieces are inspired by the word. So, for example, this dress is inspired by the 23rd Psalm. Because the labeling is inside the garment, if the garments are trendy and they're beautiful and women want to wear them, I don't think it matters if you're Christian or not. It's the label. It's Jesus speak, and even if you're not a Christian, it's a beautiful garment and you feel good wearing it. So I don't think it's just limited to Christian women.
Oh, I think this is a phenomenal event because I learned an awful lot about the South Side, and I've done research on local history. But I think Sean really did a very good job of describing why the South Side developed the way it did, why it was such a hub for businesses and such a dense residential area for so many years, and why it declined. And he also did a very good job of explaining why continual efforts to revitalize the South Side failed, and how this led to distrust of both the municipal and the federal government. So I thought this is the first step. Maybe I think when people understand what happened, then they're in a better position to take steps that will be effective. They know what's gone wrong in the past. And I think also there's when you're dealing with trends like those that affected the South Side that are systemic, that are really kind of overwhelming in scope, people have a tendency to simplify them, and often in ways that are vindictive, intolerant. And I think this is a wonderful way to avoid that, because people talk about trends that were evidently well-intentioned that had all kinds of unintended consequences.